expected to be a 5-star hotel, we know that, but it's not supposed to be a house of horrors.
Federal authorities have conducted a full-scale sweep of Diddy's prison, and you'll never believe what they found. Right now, Diddy's being held in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, waiting for his sexual assault trial next year. But his lawyers have been really desperately pushing for bail or some kind of release, arguing that the conditions of the prison are inhumane. Apparently, this particular prison is genuinely one of the worst in the country in terms of really basic stuff. Federal authorities have just performed a full sweep of the entire jail, and the outcome of it was genuinely mind-blowingly crazy. They found illegal substances, homemade weapons, and electronic devices throughout the prison. And the craziest thing about all of this, not all of it came from the inmates. That's right, the staff at the prison are apparently well known for their corruption. The investigation found that they had accepted thousands of dollars from inmates in exchange for smuggling in substances, smokes, and cell phones, which is already really scary and a little concerning, considering how high profile this prison is. They are literally doing it while the world is watching them. But the problems are so much bigger than that. Inmates that have been released have said that the prison is always mismanaged. There are stories of inmates being frequently locked down purely because of understaffing and getting banned from leaving their cells for visits, calls, showers, or exercise. They say that the prison is full of poor conditions like this, all of it just encouraging this tense atmosphere. And what happens next? A lot of violence. Honestly, in my opinion, none of that stuff is surprising. Violence in prison has been a problem for such a long time. But when it's on this scale and you have actual prison staff helping and providing inmates with the actual weapons and tools needed to make it happen, that's what makes this whole thing so genuinely concerning. I mean, this jail has been heavily scrutinized for a while now. 2 men were violently attacked over the summer and 5 men were charged with ending their lives. How do you even try and fix a problem like that when you know the guards are taking part in it? There have been incidents where some guards have been charged with committing harm because of their involvement in these prison attacks. One insane story even had a corrections officer charged with firing at a car during an unauthorized chase. It really seems like the staff at this prison are not at all equipped to be doing this job. But what makes it especially worrying is that this prison is the home of some of the world's most high-profile prisoners. We're talking R. Kelly, Jeffrey Epstein's criminal best friend, Ghislaine Maxwell, crypto criminal Sam Bankman-Fried, and, of course, Diddy. This is not the place to be letting the guard down, but it gets even worse than that. This is basically New York City's only federal jail right now. The other one, the Metropolitan Correctional Center, is currently closed. That prison was described as the Guantanamo of New York, this extremely high-profile prison for dangerous people. So why is that one not open? And why are people like Diddy and R. Kelly not being held there, where it's more likely that they won't be in danger of losing their lives? You won't believe this. It's because of Jeffrey Epstein's mysterious passing. The whole building got shut down, and all of the inmates inside were moved over to Brooklyn to be in this prison. So I think it's pretty obvious that basically all of the problems in this prison were also happening there. But because of the negative press attention after that passing, they simply moved it all over. Now, Diddy's place in the prison is bringing more attention here in the same way. Although he is really not happy about this whole situation. Supposedly, he doesn't feel safe in that prison whatsoever, and who can blame him for that? He and his lawyers have constantly pushed to get him out of there. They asked for house arrest, a bail deal, or moving him to another prison in New Jersey. Basically everything they could think of, and it's all been constantly rejected. Probably because everyone thinks that he's asking to just drop the charges and leave. And as we know, Diddy is a pretty ruthless guy. I mean, if you just release him into the world, there's no telling if all of his victims will feel safe to speak out against him. After the judges in Manhattan denied him his wishes, he escalated it to a higher court. But in my opinion, I think it's highly unlikely that he will get anything he's asked for. They're pretty clearly trying to make a point of not giving him any special or preferential treatment. Although, in this case, there is a credible argument to be made for him to be moved. Nobody wants another Jeffrey Epstein situation. But keeping him in an environment like this does keep that possibility way too open. This prison has a proven track record of violence and inmates passing away, so it's not like all of this is happening in some imaginary world. And while prisons don't have to treat anyone in any special way, we have to face reality. These high-profile people are going to be major targets for aggressive or violent inmates who want to make a name for themselves, which is why finding all of these weapons in the prison is so concerning. The prison did put out a statement saying that the sweep had absolutely nothing to do with Diddy and that they planned it long in advance, which is probably true. We know that they conduct these kind of operations all the time, just to try and keep control of the inmates. But I don't think there's any way to really avoid the basic problem that they're creating. There is no question that he is going to be a very promising target for a lot of twisted people who want to be the one to finish him, which means that the authorities have to be all the more cautious and careful. But if the staff in the prison have a history of aiding inmates with securing the weapons that they go on to harm others, what is the point? I mean, how many inmates have to pass away before the state sees that something is very wrong with this prison? It's just my opinion, of course, but it seems pretty obvious to me that these prisons are being operated poorly. And I can't fault basically anyone wanting Diddy to move out of there. Again, not because of his guilt or innocence, but just because you can't serve justice if he's injured or worse. But what do you guys think? Should Diddy be moved? Or do you think that he should be forced to live in these conditions for the next few months? And do you think that he will be granted a move? I personally don't think he will. And the reason is pretty simple and obvious in my opinion. The judges won't want to be seen giving him special treatment just because of his status. We've seen this before, where celebrity prisoners are forced to endure the exact same punishments as everyone else. But on the other hand, I do think that the risk of him meeting his end is too high, especially in this kind of environment where it seems like even the guards are out for blood. If you can't trust anybody, it seems like a really bad idea all around. The last thing anybody wants is for him to get away with all of his crimes without justice being served. That's something that has happened way too often in the entertainment industry, and we can only hope that it doesn't happen again. But let me know what you think in the comments below.